All right, you're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq. Welcome to my weekly review. Thank you for watching. I just wanted to point out a couple things with the Nasdaq here is that we had this correction recently, and you you could certainly tell, the last 4 weeks it was pretty challenging to find winning stocks. And last week, it was pretty much throw a dart at the wall and you're going to find a winning stock. So it helps to have the tailwinds from the index. I just wanted to point out, we had a correction here in March to April, 4 weeks in duration. This was a 8% correction. Then we had a 22% rally from the 15,222 on April 19th up to 18,621 on or is it 71? 71 on July 11th. So we corrected from July 11 to August 5, 16%. So it's twice this move. Double the correction, 22% up, 16% give back. And so now it just is the textbook bounce off its 200. And you can see right here that it broke above its downtrend line on Thursday. I want to go back 5 days because I know a bunch of wise guys are saying, oh, didn't you know you have to buy the bottom? Well, no, I don't ever buy a bottom because I'm looking for confirmation of a move, a reversal here. This is the August 5th, that Monday where we came in, the in-carry trade or whatever. And the stocks, I think the Nasdaq opened down about 1,100 points. You even had the Professor Siegel yelling about a 75 basis emergency rate cut, which seems a little um, hyperbolic or whatever. So this was the Monday where everybody bought, NVIDIA at 90 and everybody bought the low. Well, I didn't because I want confirmation of a move. Like I said, this was almost a pink rally day, but it didn't close high enough. I think we needed to close at 16,241. It closed at 16,2. But the next day we had an up day. So this is day one of an attempted rally. And like I say, I want confirmation of a move. So usually it's day four is the first day that we can have a follow through day because we wait 3 days for a short covering. And then we saw the day two was not a follow through day. Day three, that Thursday, was a nice move, 2.87%, but it was only day three. And we need to wait to day four. And that Friday was, an up day, but not enough for a follow through day. So we come to the next Monday and we have another up day, and it's right here at the 10 EMA. So, a lot of these bears who came in bearish on this day for good reason are now probably thinking, oh, this thing's going to get rejected at its 10 EMA on the next day. So what happens on Tuesday is we do get our follow through day on day 6, and it drives through the 10 through the 21. And so on a follow through day, the rule is you got to buy something. If you didn't like any stocks, you could always buy the QQQ or TQQQ. I had quite a few. I had a few stocks on my ready list this week. It was definitely a condensed version, but I had some real winners last week. Um, but anyway, that's not what the point I'm trying to make here. So we had a follow through day, and what I want on a follow through day is a confirmation of the follow through day. So the next day was Wednesday. Just a sideways day, digestion of gains. And then Thursday is when we had that break above the downtrend line, a subsequent follow through day. And that's what I'm looking for to get, way more aggressive in the market here. So Thursday was, a nice day to get long and add more exposure to this market. And then Friday was a good day because of the way it digested gains. It opened up lower on Friday. Here's Friday. So it gapped lower, and then we saw buyers come in, and it ended up higher, up 37 points on Friday. So that is a healthy day in my estimation. Anyway, if we look at the weekly, I talked about these 4 weeks down, and this is a 16% correction in comparison to this 8% correction back in March and April. But it traded down to its, this is your 40-week line here, your 200-day, they're pretty similar. And now a nice big bounce last week, up 5.29% through its moving averages. So to me, this is, that break above the downtrend line, the follow through day on Thursday makes me more aggressive, makes me more bullish. maybe we need some sideways action, but maybe not. Maybe this thing's just going to rally back through 18,000 and challenge these old highs and have a V-shaped recovery. We need to be flexible and open-minded and just take it one day at a time. But I, would like to point out that, I mentioned that it moved through its moving averages and closed Friday, 0.3% above the 50. And a lot of people thought it was going to get rejected here. Once again, there's a lot of bears who came in bearish and are still bearish. But as it drives through these moving averages, you're starting to see the 10, the faster term moving average curl up, the 21s curling higher. And you just got to be open-minded that it could just have a V-shaped recovery and take out the old high. It could trade sideways from here, or it could run up to 18 and trade sideways. But the washout was healthy to purge. We had earnings recently, and it purged some of these stocks that didn't have quite stellar earnings. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on leading stocks. I will go to the SPY because I believe the SPY is doing a little better than the Nasdaq. Why do I say that? Well, because it's a little further above its 50 right here. You can see it's 1.7% above its 50. And what was the Nasdaq? 0.3. So the SPY is doing better. And the IWM, this is more of a risk on, is 2% above its 50. So that one is doing even better than the SPY. And then the mid cap 400, 1.6%. So they're all doing better than the Nasdaq. But like I say, I like to look at stocks. I'm just going to quickly go through these Mag 7 stocks. I'm going to get rid of this. These Mag 7 stocks, just, I'm not really interested in any of them besides NVIDIA, but just acknowledging the correction. This looks like the Nasdaq, right? Corrects, didn't quite come down to the 200 and now is trading, nearly 4% above its 50, and it's above its moving averages. So Apple looks very good. Microsoft, lagging a little more here, still well below its 50. You can see this consolidating in a base here, and stocks need to consolidate in bases from time to time. They're not just going to go up forever and ever. Meta, this one is it's consolidated here from that 531. It fell out on the prior earnings report. Had a good earnings report this time, 60% earnings growth, 22% sales growth. Consolidating in the base, has that paint by numbers buy point there at 542. So Meta looks pretty darn good. Google, they lost their antitrust case with the Department of Justice. Maybe perhaps being split up wouldn't be a bad thing for Google, but fund owners are going to own these things and they're going to buy Google. So yeah, it pulled back sharply down to its 200 essentially at 154.93, but now it's starting to bounce back. Much like the index, but Google, lost that case, and that definitely hurt the stock. Amazon, I want to see this thing trade through its 50 here, which is well above 180. So yeah, it was 184 on Friday. So it's got a lot of work to do. It's had a bad response to its earnings report. 94% earnings growth. What the heck here? Anyway, it rallied above the 200, above the 10, and above the 21. Needs to get above the 50, but you can see it's just consolidating in a base here. Amazon looks pretty good. Tesla, I don't know what to think about Tesla. It's right here near its 51.2% above its 50. So, it's above the moving averages. It looks better. You could say that it traded above this, downtrend line here on this stock on last week, which a lot of stocks did, right? And NVIDIA is another one. This is one that I own. I like it above 120. Why did I wait to 120? Why wasn't I the smart guy to buy at $90 when it traded down on August 5th? Because I never know, how low they're going to go or how long the selling is going to last. I respect the selling. There's a reason that institutions are selling. I want to follow the institutions. I'm never going to be the first guy in, but I wanted to see it trade through the moving averages here. And it did so on that Thursday when we had that subsequent follow-through day. So that was time for me to get in at 120. So yeah, I like to wait. So what? I want to follow the institutions, and they have earnings coming up. So I'll probably pair some before earnings. I don't want a full position into earnings, but I want to own some. All right, I'm going to get to some of the other names. I think Broadcom's really outperforming. NVIDIA right now. Why do I say that? Well, because it's, 4.3% above its 50, where NVIDIA is just a tick. But this one's just consolidating in a base as well. But looks pretty good to me. MPWR, monolithic power. Well, obviously this one's making new highs, so this is definitely a stronger stock as well. I like stocks making new highs. The data storage group just got pummeled. I mean, there was no reason for Micron to go from 157 to 84. Same company, delivering a strong earnings growth. You can see the earnings line heading due north. So I think that was a steal below $100. I didn't put it on my ready list because it was still below the 50, but I still think this is a buy right here. If you like buying stuff below the 50. Some people don't, but the story hasn't changed here. In fact, they're gaining market share in cyclical business. Micron's doing well. Pure Storage, same thing. It just was found support at the 200 where Micron undercut, and you can see it's just consolidating in this base from that $70 mark back in June. So give them some time, let them recover, let them heal. There's a lot of technical damage on a lot of these charts. But anyway, I want to get to the retail because last week we saw, the retail sales data came in really strong, surprisingly so. So the death of the US consumer was greatly exaggerated. And a lot of these retail names sold off. And with that new data number, a lot of them did well. This is a Brazilian company, Mercado Libre, MELI, obviously broke out of a base. We had this on our ready list, I think 2 weeks ago, and it just broke out. It's extended now, but that's showing leadership qualities. Up 5% last week with the index. The prior week it was up 6%, and the prior week before that 7%, 7.5%. So Mercado Libre heading in the right direction. Like I say, stocks making new highs are showing leadership. And those are, I go to the new high list and look at stocks, and that usually tells you that they're doing well if they're making new highs. Carvana, I know a lot of people hate this stock. It's heavily shorted. I like it, above 154. I think I had the buy point though a lot lower than that, like 142 or something. Another one of the stocks last week on our ready list that was up nearly 15%. So that's a good week by anybody's standard. It did 3 times what the Nasdaq did last week, and that's what you want to see out of your stocks. Outperforming the index. Carvana certainly fits that bill, and I still like it. Above 154, it's got blue skies, and those shorts are going to have to cover. And it had a good day on Friday, so if you own it, I would stick with that one. SPHR. This is my buddies are discussing that a real small float, and it looks like just breaking higher. I like it above $50. It couldn't quite close above there on Friday, but this is a nice little base here. I know it's straight up from the bottom like a lot of stuff right now, and maybe it needs time to form a handle, but 22% last week is a nice move. I believe it. They reported earnings. I'm going to get to the earnings report. Some people ask me like to cover earnings or don't cover them so much, but I'll do a little bit later on. SE, they reported earnings and had a nice response once again, straight up from the bottom. This one made new highs last week, and I still believe it's got that pivot area at 76.60 and still actionable right here at $78. So that one could appear on our ready list next week. Let me see. Oh, Shark Ninja. Yeah, very strong retail stock, broke out of a base. This is what you like to see. Power from the pivot, right? Just blasting higher. Come on, Marty. And then following through. This is what you want to see in a healthy market, leading stocks, gapping higher and then not giving it all back, not the gap and crap, the gap and go. And that's what Shark Ninja has done the last couple of weeks. It was only up 4% last week. That looks like a short stroke pattern, essentially, but it made new highs. That's the problem. Let's see here. So it was up 16% the prior week, and then tacked on 3.5% last week. So Shark Ninja, if you own it, you gotta love it, and if you don't, you gotta find a way to get in. You gotta wait for a pullback to a moving average. One more is Dick's Sporting Goods. Obviously, the retail sales data helped this one, but this has been a base on base pattern, a consolidation and a double bottom base here. And now it's back to that old buy point there of 227. Let's take a look at the week. Oh no. Siri, this thing's crazy. Anyway, Dick's is near a buy point there. Up 8.5% last week. So a good week for Dick's Sporting Goods. I could go through a lot more retail, but I'm not because I have to get to other stuff. I like the software names. Sometimes people like to, play certain, oil and gas or energy or whatever, miners or, commodities. I like software and hardware names, technology. I seem to do better with them. And GoDaddy has certainly been a huge winner. Yeah, it was kind of flat last week, but excuse me, it wasn't flat last week. It gained nearly 4%. But you could see how long this thing has been rallying here without a real base. So I wouldn't be looking to jump into this one, even on a pullback. This thing needs to form a base. So yeah, it'll probably trend higher and trend with the 10 EMA. And as long as it's above the 10 EMA and the 10 EMA is heading higher, you're making money with GoDaddy. It's just real tough for me to buy something that's so far extended from its prior base. As we saw with Abercrombie and Fitch, as I digress here, ran forever and ever, then finally formed this base and is not, it pulled back to its base and is having trouble now because it ran for so long. It looks like GoDaddy right there. So it's struggling to make new highs. Anyway, I digress. I do like GoDaddy. Another one that I like in this space is ZETA. Software name that just keeps making new highs. This one's more than doubled this year. It ran up to 25 something, 25.53 following earnings, pulled back to its 50. Obviously, the market has been in correction, but this thing just continues to trend higher along the 10. It's surfing its 10 like Kelly Slater. So if I wanted to own this, and I don't, I wish I did, I would wait till it pulled back to that 10 EMA, and it's 5% above it right now. But it's climbing every day. It's climbing rapidly. So yeah, wait 1 or 2 days where it pulls back a little bit and jump into ZETA. Another one that with a large supply, and what do I mean by that? The shares in the float, it's got a gazillion shares, so it's hard to move this one, but it has been moving higher gradually, steady. They had a strong earnings report, nice response. You can see it corrected, from 29 to 21 during the Nasdaq correction, and now is rebounded and making new highs. So Palantir is definitely a leading stock, which is what I'm looking for. Leading stocks in the software group, whatever specific group you're looking at, you want the leading stock. Anyway, this is a Monday. They reported on Monday. Terrific response, 15%, and this now forming this little shelf type pattern. I like it. It's just got to allow the moving averages to catch up. So good report from Monday and good response. Spotify, this stock is a total dog. It didn't do anything last week. It went sideways while the Nasdaq was up 5%. What's wrong with it? Well, absolutely nothing. Stocks do this. It's not, look at this short little weekly range here of 332 to 343, an $11 range. But you can see this earnings line heading due north, stock consolidating. I like that a lot. You got to be patient, when you're trying to select stocks. And this is definitely a leading stock, even though it didn't make a new high last week. It did run up to 359, then pull back to 300. So that's a washout that's going to shake out a lot of traders because you can't afford to take big losses. You take the small loss. But, you could always buy back in. You can see it just pulled back to its 10 EMA, had a little bounce on Friday. It's 1% above. I like this stock a lot. I am holding it for full disclosure with a full position, but I would add to it if it wants to, make new highs. That was Spotify. Oh, PSN. I got to admit, this is a stock that I'm not familiar with, software name, but I just acknowledging strength. Breakout from the cup with handle pattern, now surfing the 10. So that one looks fantastic. DOCS, a nice response to This is a software, a medical software, nice response to its earnings and just forming the shelf, allowing the moving averages to catch up. Just acknowledging strength here. App, this is one that I like that I've traded in the past, but obviously that washout from 91 to 60, that's gonna shake most people out. A nice 30% move lower. Thank you very much. But technical bounce off the 200, much like the Nasdaq. Drove right through its 50 straight up from the bottom, so maybe it needs some time to form a handle and allow the moving averages to catch up. But I'm definitely interested in getting into this name now that it's had the little washout there and shook out the weak hands. Institutions are obviously supporting this stock there at the 200 and drove it higher. So that's definitely one that I am looking to get into. I'm stocking. Commvault Systems, computer software database. Have no idea what these software names do for the most part. But anyway, nice response and then pulled back to the 21. Obviously, the market's correcting. So, it pulled back. You're going to see a lot of selling when the market corrects. But then when the market, cooperates like last week, it had a much better week. I spoke too soon, flat on the week. So Commvault was up 9% 2 weeks ago, 10% the prior week, and then last week just a flat week. So that's what you want to see after a move like that. You want to see sideways action. There it is, like a shelf type pattern. Pull back to the 10. That might even be actionable on Monday here. If we could see if it'll bounce off that 10. So another stock that I'm watching. All right, I think that's it for software. Yeah, let's move on to the home builders. I put Pulte Homes on last week and it got downgraded on Wednesday when that CPI data came out, the rates went up and this stock handled it pretty well. I was watching for the downgrade and you can see it's just kind of trading tight. This is the day, the Wednesday when it was down, Pulte Homes. The rates went up, the home builders went down, only 1% on a downgrade, not bad, then recovered the price on Thursday and Friday. So this is trading tight within a base near a buy point. I like this one. I like Lennar as well. Similar action, trading tight along the moving averages near a buy point. And then DHI is a little stronger. I like this one too. It's larger and liquid. And any one of these three, obviously this one's a lot stronger. It's 2% above its 10 EMA. So the home builders, definitely keep an eye on them. Rate sensitive. If rates come in a little bit, they'll probably appreciate in price. Anyway, the group that's really doing well is the drug stocks, the biotechs, the drug speculative names. This is Catalyst Pharmaceuticals, making new highs. I like stocks that make new highs. Traded up to 2020 last week. Had a good week. You could see the breakout from the consolidation up 7.5%, not bad. TGTX is another one that's consolidating in a base. It was up 11% last week. They have stellar earnings and a profitable company. They had a little 100 million stock buyback program, but you could see the growth profile down here, sales and earnings. And I believe this is just still, playing a possum, consolidating in a base, and hasn't even broke out yet. So we'll allow it time to play a possum, up 11% last week, not bad. ADMA, you got to listen to this conference call and these guys, phenomenal. They have, and this is trading 10 times sales, so it's not a cheap stock, but the growth is outstanding. And you can see it had this response to earning 37% move, followed it up last week with a 10% move. So ADMA, and if I'm mentioning drugs, I have to go to Lilly. Lilly was up with 3.5% last week. It kind of got dragged down Thursday and Friday because of the Biden Sanders team wants it put Monjaro on the cost reduction list for 2026, and these companies are going to fight that with lawsuits, but they put a lot of money in R&D to create these drugs, and they want to make money on them. They don't want to have the government put curb limits on them. So we'll see what happens there, but the politicians want to be able to say they helped old people with their drugs or whatever. So it's all about politics, unfortunately. NVO, same thing. Their Wegovy is one of those 10 stocks you know, because their diabetes plays both of Lilly and Novo. So, you know, a lot of people with weight problems, diabetes, that, you know, the government wants lower prices. So anyway, I think this will be resolved eventually, and those stocks will do better. AstraZeneca was one that I had on my ready list last week. I was really surprised with how much it moved. 4% move. You can see the breakout here from the base. So a lot of drug stocks. I got to stop though because I have a lot of things to get to, not a lot of time to do it. TMDX. This is another stock I had on my ready list last week. Another one that I'm holding, like Spotify, with a full position. It was up 4.5% last week. Why would you put it on? Well, because it's just consolidating here. You know, it had a nice reaction to the earnings of prior quarter, you know, another reaction and a pullback during the correction. But to me, if it, you know, if it gets above that 170, 198, 172, blue skies, and I would say that's actionable again. I like buying stocks or adding on to them. It is a little extended from its 10, so maybe a pullback next week. What is it, 5.5% above the 10? So yeah, maybe a little pullback and a bounce to new highs. That would not surprise me at all. Definitely a leading stock, and that's what I'm looking for, is leading stocks. Intuitive Surgical, definitely a leading stock in this medical product, medical systems equipment, definitely a strong stock. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I've got to get to some other names here, and this is a security safety group. Clear Secure definitely had a strong reaction to earnings, up 24%. And I got to look at the weekly here. This thing's going parabolic. There's a clean breakout the prior week, 33, 34%. And then last week it was only up 10%. So, you know, you can see the earnings line heading due north, and it's just a little extended here from its 9.1% above the 10. So you got to wait for the moving averages to catch up. Maybe it'll go sideways for a couple of days. AXON is another one that had a nice response to earnings, broke out, and now it wants to do the Kelly Slater thing, I believe, and just ride that 10 EMA higher. You can see another clean breakout from a base. So a lot of stocks acting well here with the tailwinds from the Nasdaq. And SCC is another one. Oops. NSSC, dummy. Nepco Security, like the index, you know, pull back, drag below its 50, then rallied right back through it. You know, that was actually, you know, 57 area would be an area of interest for me, where it made this old high here on July 15th. Why not, right? Or July 16th. Doesn't matter. 57.37. Yeah, if it can trade above there, yeah, I would be interested in SSC. Cybersecurity stocks that I'm interested in. CyberArk, obviously, you know, it's got a long period of consolidation, bounced off its 200, now above all the moving averages. I like that one a lot. Fortinet, another one, just consolidating in a base. This is a weekly review, so I got to show weekly charts. You can see the earnings line heading due north. It's been consolidating for a while here, this cup with elongated handle. And now the last 2 weeks has really moved higher, up 7% last week and 23% the prior week. But I wouldn't shy away from this. I would just wait for, you know, to catch up to the 10 EMA to catch up. It's 8% above the 10 now. So let it go sideways for a little bit. Let these moving averages catch up. That's why now, you know, the indexes pull back a couple of days. Don't freak out. Just to embrace, you know, the pullbacks, and it's going to allow us a chance to get some of these stocks that are leaders that have kind of gotten extended and gotten away from us. But we still want to watch them, because for me, I want to own leaders. Okay, I got to go to the restaurant group because this group was considered dead. You can see these sweet greens, how it pulled back below the 50, just kind of wallowed around here at the 22, kind of retested it, rallied back through on earnings. Now it's by that old pivot point. You know, I think it needs 14% above the 10. It needs a little time here to go sideways, but definitely one that I would put on the watch list, and because it's shown the ability to move fast. I mean, this stock can really move, consolidated in a base. I like stocks, you know, buying them, you know, in a base, and then let them break out and move higher, as long as we get the tailwinds from the indexes. Shake Shack, Another one that was left for dead, went from what, 111 down to 77 and then rallied. This one traded below its 200, now rallied back above, has that paint by numbers buy point at 10, call it 106, just a tick above it. So I like that one as well. I gotta write these down. SE, Shake Shack, I got a lot of them. Fortinet, a lot of them are looking good. Starbucks obviously got the news that they hired Brian Nickel from Chipotle. Leadership matters. I pointed out earlier how AMD did when Lisa Su took over, and since I'm doing this and I'm mentioning it, I gotta. Yeah, Lisa Su took over in October of 2014. If I just do the math here for AMD and go to 2014. Yeah, she's been there 10 years, almost a 10-year anniversary for Lisa Su. Yeah, the stock is up, 3,400%. So I think the shareholders are pretty happy. And I'm just pointing out that leadership makes a difference. And hopefully it will with Starbucks. It's kind of been left for dead. And there's a trend change that the younger generation likes Dutch Bros, and they're kind of shying away from Starbucks. Their service is too slow. They're really struggling in China. So we'll see if the new CEO can turn things around at Starbucks. And the last one that I'm going to show, football season's coming up. We got, people like to go to Wingstop, eat wings, watch football. This one traded, you can see the consolidation here from 431 down to 340, $100 essentially move, $90 move, we'll call it. Now it's rallied back up to its 50. So we'll see it gets rejected there, or if it can rally back through that 397.90 would definitely be we'll just call it 400. If it can drive through the magic 400 number again, I would definitely be interested in Wingstop. All right, I think that's enough for for that group. All right, insurance. When insurance stocks, this is one of the I don't like trading. I don't like seeing them, going parabolic, because that means your insurance premiums are going up, and they have been. Brown and Brown, ticker symbol BRO. One of my favorite ticker symbols, just surfing its 10 EMA like Kelly Slater. These things are just going parabolic. It's kind of disgusting. Gallagher, riding its 10. What can you say? Allstate, you're in good hands, or maybe not. Near a buy point there, I would definitely put that one on a ready lister next week if it trades through that 180. I'd definitely be interested. Not that I'm thrilled with insurance stocks. Gosh, look at Aflac, the duck. The duck is making new highs, just blasted through 100. You see that 10 EMA heading higher. 104.91 is the old high. Probably going to take that out next week. Anyway, that's it for me. Except for I lied. I told you I was going to go through some earnings data. Last week, On Holdings had their earnings report. They guided to 30% growth, so 23, 27, 30. Market liked it. Just consolidating in a base here, though. It needs to break out above that 45 level. Applied Materials reported their guidance wasn't great, and it sold off on Friday, nearly 2%, not bad, but it traded down to its 200, rallied back above. I don't know if that earnings report's really going to do it for them. Walmart was the big one last week that really got the retail group going on Thursday. Really strong earnings report. You can see this, big blue volume bar. Wall Street liked the numbers. Walmart's a huge retailer. Earnings line heading due north. The CEO is just saying, like the consumer is not dead. Really strong consumer, and you can see it was up 8% last week. Big move for a big stock. I love to see it. ASTS, this is one that just went parabolic. Following its earnings report, it was up, 50% on Thursday, gave back 1% on Friday. Hello, that's a sign. Heavily shorted stock. This is one where you're not going to concern yourself with the earnings line. You just looking at the performance of the stock. And this one's gone from $2 up to 31. Thank you very much. I think it's probably going higher in the shorts. I was watching it last week, and every time it pulled back following this, let's just go to it. Yeah, every time it came back, it got bought up. Pulled back, it got bought. Pulled back, it got bought. finally into the close, kind of gave back, but only given up, 1% after a 50% gain. That tells you all you need to know. We'll watch it next week. Definitely extended 31% above its 10 EMA, but definitely one to watch. When stocks make moves like that, you don't ignore it. It's not to be ignored, Dan. CLBT, another stock. I know I'm going long today, but there's a lot going on in the market, and I find it fascinating. So I'm going to keep going. This is CLBT. It's I guess for cell phones, security for cell phones. I don't really pretend to know much about it. Headquartered in Israel, up 21% last week. Thank you very much. I'm just interested in stocks that make moves like that. It's not to be ignored. Cisco Systems, I'm just throwing this in there because Cisco was an old bellwether, but if they reported like that and moved like that, the market would have really rocked. And the market did rock last week, but Cisco up nearly 9%. A nice week for Cisco Systems. So that earnings report was responded well. Brinker International, not so much. They reported sliced the 50. No good for Brinker. That's like Chili's, Maggiano's. Cardinal Health reported last week, and this one's forming a nice base. I like that thing right around 105 area. It's getting a little extended though. It's 5.7% above the 10. I need it a little closer, so pullback, I would be interested. NU, they reported, had a nice, you can see the V shape. This one's making new highs. Definitely a leading stock that you got to pay attention to with moves like that. This is a weekly review, so I got to show the weekly report. It was up nearly 14% and breaking out of that. You can see the shakeout, the washout, the purge of the weak hands, and then the diamond hands are rewarded as it makes new highs. One more, two more. MRCY, Mercury Systems. I would say that's a nice response to earnings. And just had an inside day on Friday. Yeah, 17%. We'll take that all day long. It was up nearly 13% last week. So, and then the last one was Home Depot. Not a great report. Still consolidating in the base on the weekly. You can see this is a little slower mover. It was up 4% last week. I'd take a swing at this above 375, but this is not the type of stock that growth stock investors are going to trade. So anyway, that is it for me, except for in honor of the great Steve Jobs. One more thing. We have earnings coming up this week, and these are a few that I'm interested in. This is the electrical contracting manufacturing group that has, Sanmina in it. My friend Yuri doing pretty well. FN also has a JBL, and oh boy, that one's taking a dive. And then Flex. So we'll see if FN can help the group. Palo Alto's reporting Monday after the bell, and this is definitely going to rock the cybersecurity stocks one way or the other. I think finally they're going to have a good report. They changed their accounting system, and there was some question about their billings, but I believe Palo Alto is going to have a strong report. Palo Alto is just a cash cow. You can see their cash flow, return on equity, no debt. This is a fabulous company. It is trading like 10 times sales though, so they're going to have to knock it out of the park. Let me see who else is reporting this week. CAVA. Growth investors are really interested in CAVA. This is up more than triple digits in 2024. I see their products in Whole Foods. I've never been to their store, but a lot of people like it. The earnings line heading due north. There's you got to like that. Little cash flow, 22% return on equity is fine. No debt. So CAVA's pretty well run company. The restaurant business is really tough. But I want to see this thing trade above par, 100 next week. And if it can do that, I'd definitely be interested. But, the way their earnings responses have been, I can't get long ahead of earnings report. Target reports, they've had trouble with shrinkage, and they've kind of, helped remedy that situation. But we're going to have to hear what they say on, I believe it's Wednesday. This is Lowe's. They report Tuesday. Nice cup with handle here. So let's see if it can break out. And they report on Tuesday, I think, before the bell. And then Snow, I don't know what to say about Snow. They got some, the 13F filing showed some whales were selling. So People sold it. I don't know. They report next week. What a mess. 46% off its 52-week high and a clear downtrend. Viking Holdings, I'm curious about this. This is the leisure services, the travel, like Carnival Cruise Lines and Norwegian. I believe so. We're going to have to see what they say. Nice little IPO move. I mean, this thing hit the ground running, right? Like it was priced too low. It ran straight up to 37 from its, IPO day around 25 lows, and now pulled back and above its moving averages. Had an inside day on Friday. So we're going to hear from them on the 22nd, which I believe is Thursday. And the last one is Workday, which I know reports Thursday after the close. And this one's a software name that's been in timeout for a while. So they're going to have to report better numbers. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the long video. It's just a lot of stuff going on. I wanted to cover a variety of things. Anyway, at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Have a great weekend, everybody.